And hit it. We are now live to. I think now we're live
Now we're live.
to the YouTubes. Back with the Analysts After Work. I'm excited. We took a couple weeks off. Analysts After Work returns with a returning guest and a new guest, Jen Bedell, Columbus Brown. Guys, welcome to the show.
Awesome to be here.
Yay! How's
Jazz
everyone
hands.
doing? Jazz hands? Yeah, okay.
Jazz hands, yeah.
How's
Instead of clapping
I do a
so
thumbs
loud.
up. I do a thumbs
thumbs
up.
up?
All right.
That's fine. So first question first, and we're gonna go to the newbie first. Columbus, what are you drinking today?
Today I am drinking apple juice with ice. This apple juice is flavored
Uh-huh.
with
Oh,
not our sponsor, but
well, we don't have a sponsor.
we don't have a sponsor, right?
We don't have a
Maybe we
sponsor.
will now.
That is maybe. I mean, hey, I would take it. Get some of that whiskey money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's. I think you are bringing a little bit of class
Thank you. I
to the show
appreciate
so
that.
far. And Jennifer, what are you partaking of this evening or this afternoon?
I see your class, and I'm going to bring it way down.
No, it's fine. Diet Pepsi's fine. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. I am rocking a bottle of Stella Artois.
Nice.
Just because that's what was in the fridge. So, cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ah, all right. So, it's been a couple weeks since we did this, or since the last episode. I guess it would have been at the end of May. A lot going on.
Yeah.
First of all, in that time, Columbus, I have been really bad mouthing business architecture. Just
Mm-hmm.
really going like hammering at it. So maybe I thought we would start today with the final throwdown of enterprise analysis versus business architecture. What say you?
Let's do it.
All right. So,
Wait. I thought we weren't talking about work on this.
I didn't know
well,
this was coming.
some people have said, when are you guys going to talk about business analysis? And I thought, we kind of do, but let's get this out of the way, and then we can talk
All
about
right.
other stuff. So my
All
my
right.
basic argument has been, business architecture
Mm-hmm.
is like the skeleton of the organization. It's the bones that provide the structure,
Mm-hmm.
but enterprise analysis is the muscle and the skin and all the other stuff that comprises things like culture, politics,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't captured in an architecture document. What do you? So maybe that's bad mouthing. I don't know. Maybe I'm building this up bigger than it is. But
So I mean,
what do you
I
think?
had never heard of this enterprise analysis thing that you talked about till just now. So it's
Oh,
new to me. So
okay. So
is that
it's
what we're
it's
calling it?
no. Well, I mean, it's like strategic business analysis.
Okay.
So it looks at it. It's the role of the BA,
Mm-hmm.
but it. Well, I
We
went
lost
out.
Vince. Where'd
You
he
lost
go?
me. I'm here. I'm here. Uh, it's the role of the BA, but they look at more strategic enterprise level work.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like this is just the thing that I've created, and is not really an issue. So moving on.
No, let's go here. So
Oh, okay.
first round. So what had happened was, like, if you go back to like the pre-Zachman days, like guys got together, they were thinking about organizations in terms of information, right? There's a lot
Right.
of writings. I can't remember exactly all the writings, but um, there's just like a body of work where they were thinking about like organizations are made up of information. That took a real heavy, IT focus
Sure.
in the early 80s. And then you get the beginnings of enterprise architecture, which was really EWITA. What did you say? EWITA? What did
Okay.
you call me? EWITA, Enterprise-Wide Information Technology Architecture. And so it's just like
That's a new term
taking.
for me. All right.
I mean, it's an older term, but when we say
No, but
like
it's new for me. It's new for me.
when we say just like enterprise analysis is new for me. It's like
There you
when
go.
we're taking all this stuff that is not necessarily new, but just old disciplines, systems thinking, and melding it together and rebranding it. So the enterprise architecture took a lot of the architecture type concept of a building, and they're saying we're building out an organization. However,
Okay.
at the time, that was mainly out of IT. So when you look at enterprise architecture as a body, most of those guys will trace back to either like a process heritage or like an application or solution architecture heritage, which
I
is
got you.
clearly IT. So like I was on this path, career wise, and I saw that and was working with a company and they broke 400 applications down to like 7 or 8, and they had a business systems modernization. So I saw like them using enterprise architecture, but
Hmm.
they introduced this whole concept of looking at something called a capability. And
Hmm.
so now the what's evolved into like business architecture today, as practiced by like the Business Architecture Guild and a lot of
Yeah.
other folks, has been mainly like uh, I'd say it's like a classic return to what enterprise architecture should have been, right? Now,
Okay.
there's some people that are, if you on one spectrum, that are more about that should be about process. That should be it comes out of process, and those capabilities are the things that I need to achieve a business outcome. Which I would agree
Which
with
is,
you.
yeah,
Like
that's
a
the thing I see all
capability
the time.
should be not only people, process, information, technology. Should be culture. It should be leadership. I'd say it should be brand as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm actually, what you're calling enterprise analysis to me sounds like business architecture in a holistic
Okay.
form. Now, how it's practiced, now let's be real. The other side of it is a lot of business architects and enterprise architects. They're obsessed with creating these like really great architectural like diagrams,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and versus like what we need when we talk analysis is like the insights. My
Right, the value.
yeah, the
Okay.
insights and what I learned from it. So long diatribe, but like I think
No, so it sounds like we're
round
actually
two.
no. I don't think there is a round two. I think we came out for the round.
Hmm.
We jockeyed a little bit. We talked.
Duck and weave.
We duck and weave, and then
Hmm.
we just hugged because I think we're on the same page.
Wait, no hugging. Social
No.
distancing.
I
Oh, we're
mean,
allowed to now in
I'm
virtual
Nova
not.
Scotia.
I'm not
virtual
there. I'm not
virtual hug.
there.
No, I know
I'm
you. Hey,
not there.
you guys got your own set of issues with the return of the code. Uh,
Yep, we do.
it's making me nervous about any impending travel I have to the States. Making me a bit nervous. We're still sort of we're starting to open. Like patios are starting to open. Jen, you guys are like right open, but
Well, as of early this afternoon, we're allowed to gather in groups of 10 without distancing.
Wow.
hey,
Yeah, like I
so
can hug my friends now.
Oh,
so the orgies are back on.
what is this hug thing you speak of? I know not what it means.
It's a
Oh.
physical embrace, my friend. A physical embrace. So, so yeah. So I mean, I think we're on the right, or we're on the same side. We just maybe call it different things. So
Yep.
I'm cool with that. I was maybe trying to manufacture some beef to drive up ratings, and as you can see, there's nobody watching, so it didn't work, and that's okay. Um, Jen, what's going on with you?
Just trying to figure out how the world works now. Like,
Hmm,
do I go to my friend's house?
hmm.
Do I still sit 6 feet apart? It's gonna be
Right,
weird, right?
right, right. And I
Sorry, that's
just got my masks.
ah
Like Monday. I got my masks, my
ah
washable one,
right.
and I'm still going to use them.
You're still gonna need them. There's
I'm
gonna be
still going to
another
need them.
virus.
Well, not just that. I mean, I travel. I
Pessimistic.
when I travel, like whenever I get back, I get sick.
Hmm.
So
Ah,
makes it
wear the
difficult
mask.
when I've got sort of back to back trips. Either that, or if I've got back to backs, I save it up, and then it really hammers
Hmm.
at the end. So I'm still going to
Right.
use them. And when I go to work, I take the train every day. So they'll get
Yeah.
used, but that's awesome. You guys can hug again
Yeah.
and get social. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
It'll come. And
I don't
actually
know.
the talk now is a maritime or Atlantic bubble. So we're hoping
Yes.
within the next couple of weeks we'll be able to go to New Brunswick PEI without having to quarantine when you get back.
Right.
Because there are no active cases in PEI or Nova Scotia, and the only active
Right.
cases in New Brunswick are in one concentrated area.
So it's largely contained.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and we just saw that happen with New Zealand, where they'd been free of all cases. They said you can travel again, no restrictions, and 2 people from Australia brought it back.
Right.
And like,
and that's what scares me. You know,
Yes.
I want to keep our little Atlantic bubble for a while. You know,
Uh-huh.
I don't need to go anywhere.
Because it's a beautiful part of the country.
You
just
to be here, and my
you're just
family's
trying to
all
keep it
here,
to yourself.
so-
It's fine.
yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
You're not welcome here. However, no, that was a big thing in Prince Edward Island.
Sure.
They said people who have summer homes from Ontario and Quebec are welcome to come for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big uproar on the island because think of it, they're an island, right? They've got themselves very well contained, and then you're going to take the 2 provinces that have the highest number of cases and allow them to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of risky.
Yeah. Well, I saw in the news yesterday that we have our cottage country a couple hours north of where I am,
right?
And that it's a fairly popular spot for Americans to come up, and and apparently there's been excessive harassment of anybody with a U.S. plate because the practices, at least that we've seen from a distance, haven't been as stringent as we've been here. So, it's not something I condone. I kind of get it, but at the same time, we've been in lockdown for what, 10 weeks now, probably longer.
How long have y'all been in lockdown?
Since the middle of March.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 3 months. That's not 10 weeks. That's 3 months.
Okay, Jen, I'm just
It just sounds bigger and longer and more drastic.
Sure.
If you say it in
Sure. So, so we've been locked, and I'm not that guy that like, open it up, I want a haircut. I need a haircut.
Yeah.
Like drastically.
You have a wife?
I do.
You have children?
I do.
You have kitchen scissors?
No. I do, but no. That's not going to happen. You know what? I'm going for the man bun. I want to really do it up so that it's like
you could pull that off.
Bunned up. I think I could pull it off. But yeah, I need, but at the same time, at some point we're going to have to get back to whatever the next normal is. And I don't know what it is, but you can't be locked up for years. So either they need a vaccine or some sort of like, they need a vaccine. But until then, we just have to be smart. And so that's why I ordered the mask. That's why I walk around with a hockey stick so that if anybody comes near me, I can smack them. It's a thing, man. Columbus. It's the advantage to living in Canada. Nobody questions you when you're walking around with a hockey stick.
We have other things that we walk around with in Texas to keep people from approaching you.
What would those be?
Pepper spray.
Really
See, you judged me.
That's not what
pepper spray.
I would never judge you, but I just thought you were taking it to the second level. You're, the old 2A, as sometimes referred to by one person.
My husband has now to keep people distant from him. He rented a banjo. That keeps people away.
Oh my God. That's what you need to walk around with, an acoustic guitar, and just periodically sit down and just start strumming. And that is an instant repeller of all people, except on university campuses. Then it's
what would you play?
Nothing. Just like strum and like look like you're pensive. Like you're gonna like at any moment you could break out into song. I gotta say, I'm glad we're back. I missed this over the last 4 weeks. Cool.
And this is cool because you started this before the lockdown.
No,
Like,
I started it the first or second week of the lockdown, and it was like it's weird that this thing has gotten me more attention, despite the fact that nobody's watching right now. That it's gotten me more attention than years of speaking.
wow.
Like, it's really weird. It's like, oh, you're the analyst from After Work guy. Like, it's fascinating. But, yeah, it just, it started as a let's see what happens, and I don't know, it's just fun.
So
It's
what's
fun.
the point? Did you create this because of the lockdown so you could have the social time, or did
Yeah.
you there before?
Yeah, no, 1,000%. That's what I did. Yes. It was a way of, just, connecting with the people that I am used to seeing as we travel. Like if you look at who's been on the show so far, it's all people that speak on the Amy tour.
The Amy tour. Yeah.
I haven't really ventured outside of that yet. And like, I know I'm going to need to, because I know there's still a lot of people that haven't been on the show that I need to have on. And like Columbus, your name came up probably like episode 4 or 5, where I was talking to Jamie Champagne, and she was like, "You have to have Columbus on. You know that, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know," but I put it out into the world, and all of a sudden I had people like, "Hey, can I be on? Hey, can I be on?" And I filled up, like I was booking out 2 months in advance.
Wow.
And so I was like, yes, I know I gotta have Columbus on. I gotta have like Angela Wick on. I gotta have who else? Shoot. There's a lot. Okay, anyways, those two, I gotta have you guys on. It's just I don't want to ask you for something 3 months from now. So anyways, this was totally meant to be social, and it's become a thing, and I kind of dig it. Yeah,
I like it.
well, yeah, it's okay. So,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
You're the host. You go.
No, please.
I'm thinking back to Orlando because this has to come up every time, right? Our blockchain thing.
Yes.
And do you remember at the end of it, somebody had said you guys should do like a morning news show? Is this kind of the equivalent of that? Was that your intention?
No.
You've got your little.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I'm happy to use this as my audition tape, but no, that wasn't the intent. It was truly to be social, and I thought, I was trying to get LinkedIn Live, and those bastards still haven't given it to me. So I thought, and that's not going to help.
What do you have to do to get it?
You have to apply, and like apparently they get like thousands of applications a day. So I kind of wanted it, and I was talking to Lori Silverman. I gotta have Lori on.
She was one of the first ones to get it, right?
She was, and so she's like, you just need to start streaming live and just build up a body of work. That's part of why I wanted to have a little bit more of a mature. We're actually going to talk about work here,
okay,
giving value back before we get into the nonsense.
Gotcha.
But yeah, see, it's my angle. But
fine. I'll stop.
But I just got my second rejection of LinkedIn Live, and so
yay! Congratulations!
Yay. Thank you. So, but this is still so much fun. I don't really care because I don't care. So, it's just fun. And yeah, one day, Jen, we might have our morning our virtual talk show. Maybe that's something we should talk about as a podcast or something. But we'll take that one offline. Let's do some business. We're gonna take that offline.
All right. Do you have to take a drink every time someone uses one of those buzzwords?
No, but what did I do that for? On my podcast, Business Not As Usual. We were talking about change or something, and we use the same term like repeatedly over, and it was like, this needs to be a drinking game. Every time someone says change for the rest of the episode, take a drink, and that's
Hammered by
that's
the
on
end of
YouTube too. So
it. Nice.
so
Yeah.
the,
I went last time. Now it's your turn.
please, I want to
No.
bring it back to Columbus, because like it's been a while
Sure.
since we've talked to him.
Hey, Columbus.
How no, I mean like not just today. I mean like generally. I think the last time I
Gotcha.
saw you was like last year in maybe Boston or
His
Chicago.
Simpson thing.
Simpson thing.
When the guy was speaking about the Simpsons.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Toronto.
Toronto.
Okay,
Toronto.
Yeah.
so basically
So it was
a year.
Toronto.
I was really sick.
You were,
Mhm.
because you had
That's the
just
one
come
I was
back from
really sick.
India.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh,
Um,
yes, I remember.
So I mean, a lot has changed in the last
Yes,
year,
a lot.
and I want to talk about the social stuff of
Mhm.
what's going on right now. But before we do that, I just like, again, from a personal perspective, how have you been? And has you, because I know, I saw you at BBC. That's where I saw you last.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I recorded a bit of your session, which I loved, by the way.
Thank you.
And I wanted to talk about, like, how are you adjusting to this, unable to move world? Has business been affected? I know you were putting together something new,
Mhm.
the from here on,
Yeah. So I've been
right?
working with
So
from here on the last
yeah,
9-10 months, and awesome opportunity to build out the U.S. market, consulting company. Basically startup from a U.S. operation standpoint. They got well established in Europe and in Australia,
cool.
and so had just have had this adventure of doing all this stuff face to face up until March, and have had
Hmm.
to transition everything to online and remote. And so it's been a real struggle, moving
Mm,
from, being able to be in a room and you're doing workshops and you can read the crowd, you can see
yeah,
who's involved, who's not, you can juggle things, to just doing the Zoom thing and Teams.
yeah,
It's been interesting. So a lot of had to take a lot of like pivoting your business model to heart and
and
thinking about things differently.
that's what I'm curious about. Like, so how have you handled that? Like,
So one thing is like LinkedIn is like my best friend right now.
okay,
That's been a big one, just having a lot more presence there. And then the other part has been just in interactions, thinking about people's mental state.
mm,
And so, like first online interactions that I had with clients, it was basically like, can we do this like presenter mode? And then I'm like, hey, this is not going to work. We got to start out with like, check in. How you doing? Like,
yeah,
do you like the people that you're with or not? Like, let's talk about that. What is the one thing that what is one thing you're gonna eat or drink or do when you get out of quarantine? Like checking in with
right,
people and then
right,
bringing them into the conversation, and then making the conversation a lot shorter instead of doing like a 2-day workshop, doing a 2-week workshop with 30-minute check-ins, just little tweaks like that. So.
hmm, yeah. No, I've found the same. And I'm one of those. I'm like you. Like, I wanna see the faces, and I wanna,
Mhm,
because you get a good sense of who's getting it, who's not, who needs extra help, what do you need to go in more detail on.
mhm,
And so I've been like, all of my speaking engagements have been completely wiped out,
mhm,
basically for the year.
mhm,
Um, but I've been transitioning to sort of a virtual on demand, video on demand, delivery of course material.
mhm,
And it has been a challenge, because you don't get that
mhm,
face to face, and like, you're just trusting. But I find that you do have that, you're a lot more, you've got brevity. You can't have someone's attention if they're watching a video for like an hour. You've got to be like, 20 minutes. Here's the concept. Here's why it matters. Here's
mhm,
what to do. And it's forced me to really rethink. And so I don't know that I'm going to go back, because
mhm.
now that I've kind of started figuring this piece out, it's a lot more scalable.
Yep.
As a business, from a business perspective. So, do I want to travel? I mean, if I'm going to Hawaii, yes. If I'm going to Cleveland,
Florida.
Florida depends on where. Depends on where. Cleveland, and all due respect to Cleveland, my boy Dan Simon lives in Cleveland, and we were actually watching the NFL draft when he was on the show, and so yeah. But just picking Cleveland. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to go there. So, and if you are in Cleveland and you want to hire me, I am still available, and I love you. I'm just picking an example. Buffalo, like I could pick any Tallahassee, could be anywhere. So maybe I have to rethink my own choices in this, and you're right. It has forced us to pivot our business models. So,
I mean, I hadn't really thought about this until this. Just being like blatantly honest, like it kind of sucked.
Okay.
And like no, it's more than kind of sucks. Like it's there's a sense of grief, or
Of course.
loss.
Yes.
It's like,
Of
hey,
course.
well, what's next? And people are talking about uncertain times, and like that's one thing. Like I get that piece, and I know there's uncertainty on top of uncertainty, but it's kind of a loss for everyone, in terms of how things used to be. And so I personally went through probably a 2-week period where I was like, WTF? I'm like,
me too.
Are things ever going to be the same? Like I don't even know how to plan for this. Like, what do I do?
They're not, and that's that. I mean that, and I don't know that that's a bad thing. Like I think this is going to force a lot of companies. Like this forced digital transformation to accelerate beyond anything any CIO could do. Like because you didn't have a choice. So I think that any company that goes back to the time before March has missed a huge opportunity to grow their business, and I think those companies are going to fall away, right? And I think the same thing is applies for individuals. Like we are going to have new opportunities. And Jen, you and I were talking about the fact, like you had started a new job around that time, and that was some. Oh, we've got our cat.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
It was either pick her up or she's walking across the keyboard.
That would have been fine too. But like if you have a world where everybody is remote, then you can be anywhere in the world and work. So you potentially could work for any company in the world. It's not just based on geography anymore.
I was talking with a client about this today, and I was saying, scary thought. Why do you need regional offices, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of our management structures and our jobs are based on like, I'm this for the Dallas region, or I'm this for this. It's like, will that matter? And do we have a certain level of redundancy in that?
Maybe. But it's going to force companies to make very difficult decisions that impact their culture and impact their organizational structure. And so again, this has been part of my argument is we need enterprise analysis and business architecture more now than we ever did, because like they are the seers of that holistic picture. So Jen, how are things going with you?
How are things going with me? I'm settling in.
Good.
I'm settling in. Yeah.
Good. Work's good. Life's good. Cats are good. Dogs are good.
Cat and dog. Yeah.
I know.
So my biggest source of stress, and you know what? I'm putting it out there because I don't think we have to hide it. Everyone's going through mental issues. And I've gone through it. I'm taking antidepressants now. And in doctor's appointments, and she's saying, I've got lots of appointments, pretty much most of her patients are now being treated for depression in some form. It's all part of the loss. It's all part of the grief that we're going through. But you take all of that, and then you throw in the day of our lockdown, start a new job, and then get a puppy that you're not prepared for. So, and then, some family issues, internal conflicts, things like that. throw that all in the mix, and there's no escape, right? You've got all these things going on, and you can't leave the house.
Right.
So
that's the hard part, right? Like you're right, there is no escape. But I'm glad that things are better.
Yep, definitely
virtual hug from afar.
There you go. And you know what? That's my message to the world. If you need help, get help. Period. That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's I don't want to avoid the topic. A lot has gone on, Columbus, as we were talking about before we came on. Like a lot has gone on in the last month.
Yep.
What is I guess first reactions or I guess at this point just feelings about everything that's gone on as it relates to George Floyd, I forget the gentleman's name, but the one in Atlanta from a couple days ago. As a white guy, it's hard for me to have an appreciation for everything that's going on, and I just like what are you feeling, and what is going on in the States?
So can't speak for all of the states,
Sure.
but and I can't speak for everyone who's
speak for yourself, man.
My shade of brown, right?
Yeah.
But there's some deep set things that have been going on for 400 years, and so for me, it's been less of an awakening and more of an uncovering. And so just seeing people see stuff that to me was like always apparent. And if you're multicultural, you code switch all the time. So me, I'm always code switching between, my corporate environment and my home environment, and also recognizing the things that my parents had brought me up to and taught me to keep me out of some pretty treacherous situations. So, you have situations where I'll just make it even simpler. Like my son, I'll just have to throw Jordan in here at some point. My son is 5, right? So this little kid is like bright. He's a leader. He's strong. Like when he started walking, he was like, "I'm gonna go first," and he would for a little while.
He started strutting,
he'd toddle,
like, out of the way, Dad.
And he wants to toddle first. And I was like, this kid is like a butterfly. He's a little caterpillar that's grown into this great butterfly. Now, unfortunately, like, what do you do if you see a butterfly lands on your nose? You're like, oh, it's a butterfly. But what if it was a big, hairy black spider? What would you do with it?
I shoo it away.
Yeah. And so the reality is there's a perception of my son being that spider, even though he's a butterfly. And so, like that's always been, the struggle. It's like you go outside and it doesn't matter who you are or what you've done, your credentials, or that you've traveled internationally, or you're a speaker, that you have an MBA, that you've advised C-level folks. When you pulled over, you're a spider. And so that's the unfortunate part, So the bad part is just, that's there. The good part is that it's being uncovered, and it seems like there's some well-meaning, ways that people want to address it. But, like when you've been part of a culture where you're seen as a spider for 400 years, you're kind of skeptical that everyone's going to see you as a butterfly. So that is my non-political commentary on what's going on,
Yeah. And so I'm that was beautiful. I'm also incredibly upset at you right now.
How so?
Because it's now like I had to wipe a tear. Like I get that now. And that's part of my struggle is like I don't know what that feels like. You know what I mean? Like even the idea of Black Lives Matter versus all lives matter. And I legitimately did not understand the like, but isn't it that all lives matter? And then I read something that it perfectly articulated. It's like, I get it. yes, you know, if there's a house on fire, and the fire people come, all the houses matter,
right.
but the one that needs the help right now
It's on
is the house
fire
that's on
houses
fire, right?
matter.
Same thing. I've heard
It's
it
a
in
firefighter.
That's
and it was
good. That's
I like
same
good.
thing with
I like
fingers,
it.
right? Like all your fingers matter, but if you get a cut on one finger, you don't put a band-aid on all of them.
Well
You
done.
just put it on the one that needs the help right now. And it's like, I get it.
That's good.
That was
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, that now I get, because I was that, like, but shouldn't it be that all lives matter? And I get that that's the goal. It's just right now we need to address the house that's on fire and not the others. They yes, they matter, but they don't matter right now. They don't need attention right now. And that
I
helped
like that.
me. That helped me get through. But even then, I still don't. It's still hard for me to understand the feeling that, you know, that I guess that you have to live with, and like I'm I I can't imagine it. Like I'm it's very rare that I'm at a loss for words. And Jen knows that well. um, you know,
Yeah.
so, and but I'm still mad at you for making me wipe a tear away, because
It
like
wasn't a
that was
tear.
the
I saw it as blood. I just thought, you had a little blood because that was a
no.
man tear.
You know what? I was sweating. That's what it was. I was
Yeah.
sweating. I was sweating.
There's a really good story of a shepherd who had like 99 sheep, right? And these 99 sheep were in a pasture, and there's one that went away. And one would say that it was reckless for him to leave the 99 just to find the one, but the one was important, and he went after it. And so that's the same. I'm not making any analogies of people or sheep, but like
No,
but
no,
like
no, no.
like that's the kind of issue of if we're all sheep, if we're all human, um, is the one as important as all the 99? And how do we
Yeah,
approach that? We're like, how do we approach that? So
yeah.
real difficult times,
It,
well, difficult issues, to work through. But I think that to really strike through these, you have to have communication and empathy. So like if we bring it back to analysis, um,
yes, because I'm
like
trying to get LinkedIn Live.
if we bring it back to analysis,
Maybe I should put this away.
with the design people, I've been explaining it this way. It's like all lives matter. Do all customer segments matter? Why have customer segments?
That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
Do some segments have different needs? Do we pay attention to the ones that have the most revenue, or the ones that we see differences, right? Like we see, even when we're mapping out businesses, we do journey maps of how people
Mm,
experience services and things. There's different experiences that and even different experiences amongst, if I talk about African Americans, that they have in their journey of their life in terms of how they interact with the world, right? And
right.
so does that mean that you're going to, as you design, I'm gonna go deep with you on travel for a second. So let's say I'm designing a experience for a speaker, and part of that experience is they check into their hotel room, and they are probably going to want to put their stuff down and say they're dirty, and they want to take a shower, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to wash their hair. So for that customer, what kind of shampoo would I put in at the hotel?
I don't know, but
I see a lot of Pert and Tresemme.
yeah, I usually see
The,
like
the
this artisanal stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all crap.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what
It's
kind of,
it's designed for a customer segment, for a generic customer segment.
right.
But for me, like I can't use those products in my hair, so I'm always reminded every
Yeah,
time
I
I go
can't
to a
either. But
hotel. You and me, we're always reminded that that
yeah.
was not designed with me in mind.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
it's not that the people are racist. It's just like that was not the design intent. We could say
Right.
that a lot about the boardroom with women. Like, what's the design intent? Was it
Mhm.
designed for a certain segment, or was it not? Is that wrong or right? But to say that the designers are wrong because they as individuals, like that's not the case. It's not that they were trying to do something systemic to discriminate against a customer segment. They just didn't think of the broad brand of the wide swath of different customer segments that needed to exist. And so that's how I explain like the systemic stuff in the States, is that living in a world that wasn't necessarily designed to cater to you. And so there's a lot of unfavorable pains along the customer journey.
But when we talk about, sorry.
I'm listening.
Well, I'm just saying, because using that analogy, so take that hotel, put it in a different location, bring in different types bring in a different customer segment, right? Are you still going to use that same shampoo, or are you going to change up your shampoo?
You probably change it up. I mean, there's some places where I go shop in different parts of the city, and there's certain products I can get in one that I can't, or like I love mango nectar. Now, if I go to some parts of the city, it's like 59 cents. But if I go to other parts, it's like exotic ethnic food, and it's like $2 a can, right? So,
oh wow,
like there's that kind of stuff, and it's just marketing. But if you think of specific to the States, we have a lot of that. But when I talk about my customer journey, they'll say, well, that's not my fault. Like, I wasn't not designing for you. Like, I personally, like, I'm not a bad designer. It's like, well, I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about the system. It's not personal. It's not that you are a bad designer or that you discriminated against me. And frankly, you didn't have a part in the design, but you participate in it and it favors you. So I need you to use your voice, because you're a primary customer segment, when they interview you or when they bring you into the focus group, will you use your privilege as a privileged customer of that system to speak up for the other customers that are not being served?
Yes.
But so, how? Like, how we need to, and I'm not looking for an answer. It's sort of a rhetorical, but like we need to really examine our own biases, and that is a tough thing. Like, people don't want to look at themselves to say, here's how I could be better. Here's how I here's the stereotypes that I hold and the biases that I hold. And I'm not, and you're right, like I'm not a bad person. I didn't design, and I see people that are designing for, to use your hotel example, like you're designing that journey to maximize revenue. Right? Like, I get that. It's the when we're talking about, and I guess at the end of the day, we're still talking about people. It's the other stuff that has nothing to do, or maybe it does have to do with maximizing revenue, the systemic stuff
or power.
Like,
don't get me started. Don't get me started. So let's stick to something more tame. Let's stick to something more tame. So, like, I had an employee on my team at one time, and this employee the client would not include her in meetings, and the client would like they'd have their stand-ups and they'd have them and they'd invite everybody but her. And so this particular lady was African American and female, and so she came to her leadership team, and she's like, hey, this is really a problem. Can y'all pull me out of this? Will you stand up for me? So we talk to people, and we try to understand, and they're like, well, she X, Y, and Z, and this and that. And so my advice was invite yourself and go and show up. Wrong. Wrong. Like, wrong. That's what I would have done. I would have been like, oh, you're not going to invite me? Hey, I'm here. Like, what are we talking about today?
I kicked in a door the week before lockdown because I wasn't invited to a meeting. Like, literally.
You did?
I kicked the door because I wasn't invited. I was intentionally excluded from a meeting. and I invited myself and I kicked the door in.
So I went
I get
to
angry.
another female leader and I said, hey, like, let me just back up. Like, I'm this X, Y, and Z is happening. This is happening, and she's like, you privileged male. I was like, what? She's like, if she does that, she's going to be considered, first of all, a B, and she's African American, so she's going to be considered aggressive. So you just told her to do something that, while she can physically do it, like, she's not going to get the same reception and reaction that you would. It wouldn't be seen as maverick or commandeering or commanding. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, it's going to put her in a worse situation. And so, you had said something like, what do I do? I think part of it is just having conversations and understanding perspective, because you really can't walk in that person's shoes, but
No.
having that level of empathy to have the conversations just to understand some of the things they struggle with and some of the things that are put on them. So my advice, when we came back, it became very different. It became a higher level discussion with the leadership of the client of, hey, X, Y, and Z is happening. We want to deliver. We really like to keep her there, but like, if you're not fully utilizing her, like, we value her and we value her voice, and we wouldn't want anyone to treat me or you like that. So
Right.
we're not going to put her in that situation. And so magically things changed, right, for her. But like, that was one where I was just blindsided, because I thought I was giving her the right kind of advice based
Right.
on that. But so there's so my appeal back to you is like, have conversations with people that are different than you and ask them what
Sure.
their experience is, and be open that while you have a certain frame of reference or you have a certain perspective or how you would do things, acknowledge what they say. So when you guys ask me like, how are you doing, it's like, well, do you really want to, not you personally, but like, do you really want to hear
I
what
actually did. Like,
it's like, do you really want to hear? It's like, because so many times I've been like that female employee where they're like, well, why didn't you X, Y, and Z? It's like,
yeah.
well, that sounds like a victim. Or going back to my son's example, why would you raise your son to be afraid of the police? Well, y'all see now. And that's a
Right.
tough decision. Do I teach him to lead and be that toddler that's always in the front? Or when he hears put your hands up, should he know to put his hands up? Like,
Right.
I don't really know the answer to that. But
Well, and
those are
we're not gonna solve it.
those are just some of the things that, like,
Yeah.
for my child, I have to think about in addition to the normal parenting because of the environment. So,
Yeah.
but I've seen a lot of positive things. I was joking before we got on the call. I'm an avid NASCAR fan, and here's why. Because
I still don't get it.
even
But
though
yeah.
they're doing a left turn at it's 200 miles per hour, so it's that in
About
kph.
320 kilometers.
So they're doing that, but like,
Yeah. Hey, that
it's
was pretty
hot.
good, right?
It's hot. That you're on it. You're on
Yeah.
it. So they're doing that, but they're doing that at the edge of spinning out and killing themselves for like 3 or 4 hours. And so like that, those guys lose weight while they're doing it, and while they're sitting down, like the focus and the discipline. And I got the opportunity to do 6 laps, and like, that's the that's the closest I've ever been to I hope my insurance is good. Like, but and I think I was only doing like 130, 140
Oh, that's like highway driving here. That's
for you. But like, we need to edit that
Only on
out.
the 401,
When
right?
you're just when Vince is in Mexico, he might drive like that, but
yeah.
never on any
No, never in the
roads.
States. I
Never.
am a good boy in the States because I always say I need to get back over the border. I can't. I can't.
So the NASCAR thing for me, it's like the engineering of it, the teamwork. If you see how the just the dance around changing the tires in like 6 or 7 seconds. They change the tires, they adjust the car, adjust the struts, they clean the windows, and they gas up the car like
Hmm.
6 seconds, 6 7 seconds. Like, phenomenal, all the engineering behind it. And I've had the opportunity to be back in the pits, and it's a whole bunch of like ex-college football players and stuff. So like, very athletic type stuff that's going on. Yeah, I know they go around in a circle, but that sport, there's this area where I feel comfortable going in, and then there's this other area outside the stadium that it's always felt very uncomfortable to me culturally. And so
Hmm.
For NASCAR,
and I think that's the part that they're trying to address right now.
For NASCAR to come out and say, "Hey, like we're not gonna fly that flag, and we're gonna address that. We want to be open." Like that's huge. Like I'm like, what in the world? So like,
well, and I mean, you're in a southern state, so like that's got to be. First of all, it's gonna reverberate through NASCAR. You already had. I saw one guy who already quit.
Yep.
And NASCAR was like, we had to Google you. We had no idea who you were.
Wow.
Which is like the most gangster thing NASCAR could have done. It was like, yeah, we didn't know who you were when you said you were quitting NASCAR. But like, I mean, you're in Dallas, right? Or Fort
Yeah, I'm
Worth?
in Texas. I'm actually about 5 miles from the Texas Motor Speedway.
Okay. So, I mean, like that banning it at NASCAR doesn't stop it from existing
No,
in the state.
it doesn't. It
right?
doesn't. So I have mixed feelings. It's like, one, I feel welcome,
right.
but like, what about all the people that are upset? Now I kind of represent change to them. I just want to come and see the race. You know,
Right.
I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm not trying to take your heritage versus hate. Like, I just want to watch the race too, because I really like the cars and stuff.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's got to start somewhere, though, right?
Yeah.
And this is where it starts. And maybe I mean, when we roll out change to organizations, it's harder before it gets better. It's going to be better, but it's going to be hard first.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But was it easy to be locked in at home? No. It had to be hard before we could start opening up again and make things better.
And we're trend like I mean, in Canada at least, we're on the downward trend.
Are you accepting dirty Texans?
Well, and so this brings me back to
Texans, yeah.
Right. So right now, I'll see you in 14 days. But this brings me back to a conversation that you and I had in, I guess it would have been 2017, after the
was this
where you asked if I had a couch that you could sleep on.
Oh.
And I said, sure, come on up. And then you said, can I bring my wife and my son too? And you're like, my daughter is also 5, so like, you know, your son would have had somebody to play with. That's a little bit harder for me though, to have another family in the house. But yeah, that was, you know what? I don't want to go down the political road. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I don't want to get you in trouble. But that was one of those conversations that stuck out at me, or stood out at me as like, this is not going to end well. And I think we're seeing this. Although I've also said that what happened, not you know, not the killing of George Floyd, but I mean like the election, I think had to happen because it's forcing this stuff to the surface, and it's going to force Americans and I mean Canadians. We have the same issues. I guess we're maybe more polite about it, but we have the same, like, we're just like you guys. It's going to force the conversation, which I think is actually a good thing for humanity. And it sucked that we had to do it this way. But I mean, it is, I hate it is what it is, but it happened for a reason. And, you know, I hope we don't have another term of this, because I don't think my little heart could take it. But I mean, it's I don't know that we would have had the same fury that we're seeing in this coalescence around this massive issue, that then if, you know, another the election had gone a different way. So I guess everything happens for a reason, and that's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's just, you know, was it? I think it was Martin Luther King. History always turns towards just, or the arc of history always arcs toward justice or something like that. I am butchering that because of Stella Artois. But it's like basically the universe always balances itself out. And it just, you may not see it because it might be something that happens 300 years from now, but it always balances out. It always curves towards justice. Heady topics today, man. This was
that was a lot.
And you made me sweat. So, but this is good. So I mean, coming back to what you said earlier about empathy and just having conversations, I think this is not to say that this solved everything, but I think it's like these are the kinds of conversations that we have to have and get comfortable having, if we want to have a real impact and make real change. So
we have the conversation, but then what?
Yeah.
Right? Because we can talk about all kinds of things. We can sit, go back to work talk for a second. You can sit in a meeting room and have a weekly meeting about requirements, but if nobody's taking action to do anything to implement them, what's the point? So what happens after we have these conversations?
I don't know. I think I don't know.
Do we have another hour?
So on the DIS profile, she would be the DI.
Sorry, what?
Are you guys familiar with like the DIS profile?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you would be the DI right now. I'm doing the analyst or the CS role.
Okay.
And
then it means that I paired you guys up perfectly.
Perfect. So
kudos to the host.
So I think I really think that the action is openness. I think it's openness and conversation, and it's like with respect, and it's not just like, I have a lot of my Anglo friends that are asking me like, are you okay? It's like, hey, look, it's been 44 years. You're asking me now that I'm okay? Like, really? It's like, I know you mean well, and I'm that person that you feel comfortable talking to, but I'm tired. And I just got over. Did you guys hear about the syrup thing?
No.
I just saw the headline. I didn't
So
see
there's a brand of syrup called Aunt Jemima, and it's
yeah. It was on the news
so
last night.
I was like, I just got up, and I can't have Aunt Jemima because it's racist, and I've known it's racist for 44 years, but you're just realizing it. Like, I don't know what to do with that, right? So there's that part of Uncle Ben's and like all that stuff has racist roots, or some like not so nice. That's a strong word, racist. It has some very strong. It has some negative. It's portrayal of people as your brand in a negative light, right? So, and it's benefited like this company for years, right? So like that's my experience, and so like I'm fatigued already from like I've experienced that for 44 years, and now like people around me are like, yeah, that's awful. Like, we should do something about it. And it's like, what about that's only 44 years of my life. Or more recently, we have in Texas, they have a celebration called Juneteenth, and it's a celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation. And so our leadership thought it wise to schedule a rally on that same day, and in a place where there was a race riot 99 years ago. And so like I immediately I wake up and I see that, and I was like, I'm hot. And that's how I'm starting my day. I was like, I get it. Like, I was like, did he know? Did he not know? But somebody knew and did that intentionally. And so I think it's just, coming back to action is just having conversations with people. And so for me, I've had to put my tiredness aside and just be open to like have some deep conversations that people are in a space where they're open to having them. And I've also heard some things that enlighten me, just some of the perspectives I've heard. Like when people say all lives matter, like I'm like, does not compute. I was like, those things yeah, we're saying that. Like, no one's saying, or like when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, it's like, well, have you listened to the third verse of the poem that the national anthem is based on, where it talks about no refuge could save the hireling or slave? Like, yeah, like he's not down with that, and it's not disrespect to the flag or the military. He's just calling out what happened to George Floyd and wanted solidarity. So I'm unpacking a lot. I'm just saying that I don't think there's like one particular thing that we can do aside from recognize that we all have something great to bring and different perspectives, and being open to have conversations and gather requirements about how people function. Bring it back. You know,
Yeah.
as you map out their personal customer experience journey as you do enterprise analysis.
Oh,
You
gold
are
star.
so. I mean, that was the knockout punch.
That
I
was
don't think
awesome.
we're gonna get any better than that. So I think that's a good place for us to cut the broadcast. You guys don't have to go, but we're gonna jump off of YouTube. So,
Awesome.
Jen, why don't we start with you? Last thoughts, and if people want to know more about you, where can they go?
You know what? I don't want to take away from Columbus's last statement. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, so just look you up on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And Columbus, same question. If people want to know more about you,
Columbus Brown MBA on LinkedIn.
All right. Well, you got this was probably one of my favorite, most uncomfortable, but also one of my favorite episodes. No, I think it's a good thing.
You cried, you laughed.
I sweated.
You sweated your hair out.
You made me sweat from around here, not in the eye, right here. So let's end it. And thank you for for being here. For everyone that's joined in, thank you for watching, and for anybody in the future that's watching, appreciate you watching this episode of Analysts After Work. We'll see you in the next one.